Welcome back to the Black and Gold Report. We're still talking with Coach Richardson. Now let's go ahead and dive into previewing the 2015 season. Your coaching staff welcomed 121 players back to campus on August 12th, which is the largest roster for this team since 2007. What have you seen from the Braves through the preseason so far, and what have been 1 to 2 of the focal points of preseason work?
Well, what I've seen out of them is a great togetherness, actually. And we started on, I think it was last Monday on August 10th, and just had a series of meetings and administrative things that we worked through, and then we'd get into some conditioning and finally work into the acclimatization process of going through practice. And now we're getting ready to end what I'm calling phase 1 of 3 phases of fall camp. And so a great togetherness has been resulted out of this first phase. And so we've got to get them in shape. They've got to kind of knock the rust off a little bit. But throughout these first 8-10 days or so, there's been a great buy-in to what we're presenting as our philosophy, as our vision, our mission, our values, the expectations that we operate by. They've done a great job of really being on board with that. Very few guys have walked away at this point in time since day 1 that we started. Very encouraging to see that. It means that, you know, they believe in what we're doing, and so that's been great. But there's 3 phases, and so we're going to get ready to go into another phase here, and we're getting really close to September 3rd, and so there's got to be guys that are continually stepping up to the challenge and to the forefront to see who those guys are going to be as we get ready to start game 1 here.
We had a chance to talk to you about this before, but you added some new coaches before the spring semester who are now going through their first preseason at UNCP. What positives have you seen so far with the addition of those guys to your staff?
Well, very positive. And they were here in the spring, and so that was a time, and really all summer as well, a time to just get them adjusted and used to what we're doing and how we do things. And so it probably took a little bit more molding and shaping and time to paint that picture for them back in the springtime. And then now fall camp gets here, and those guys are dialed in, locked in, and they really understand what direction we're going in, and now they can go ahead and communicate the message that I send, and it really goes from the top down, and they do a great job of carrying that out. And so our coaching staff has been bought in, and they really understand what we're trying to do, and you know, they work in a very excellent manner. And so they have put in extra hours this summer and for pre-camp, and they've done a great job of organizing and just being ready to go, and they understand how important this is to everybody else in the program as well.
Your roster features more than 80 freshmen and sophomores, including more than 45 newcomers. What are some of the difficulties in managing a roster like that?
Well, sheer numbers, and you know, the more guys that each coach has to be responsible for, it's just more to keep an eye on. And you've got to be very detailed in taking roll, making sure that they're where they're supposed to be, when they're supposed to be there. But then also, you've got to make sure that practices are well organized, well planned, safety features. You know, you just get into a lot of logistical things where you just have to make sure that you cover all your bases of managing a large group like that. And so I think we've done a great job of it, and as long as the players continually are coachable and understand what we're trying to get done, I think bringing in a group like that really helps us, because football is a contact sport, and you just need the numbers. You need guys to be able to step up. Guys will go down, and you're just going to need bodies that are able to replace them and be able to practice and prepare against each other the way you need to.
How many of those 45 or so newcomers are you expecting to see time this year?
Well, that's a great question, and that's kind of what this first phase is going to determine as well here in the next few days. We've got a scrimmage coming up, and I think that's going to be the first real big evaluation tool that we're going to use to say, okay, where are all these young guys at and how many can help us? I would say a handful of them will contribute, and there's a lot of talent in that class. as a whole, I'm very, very pleased with where they all are. And that doesn't mean that every single one will play this year, but as a whole, they have done a great job of communicating, really buying into the program, and being Braves, and really being committed to what we're doing and what we're telling them. And then on the field, they show really great potential. And so very enthusiastic about that group, and really looking forward to see the handful of guys that we can pull out here in the next couple of days to see which ones will go into September 3rd with us.
On the flip side, you have a pretty solid core of returning players for this season. Guys like Rontonio Stanley, BJ Bunn, and John Rich on offense, as well as Kendall Jacobs, Mike Keck, and Mike Lawrence on the defensive side of the ball. Have you been comfortable with their leadership of your veterans so far in preseason drills?
Yep, they've done a great job, and a lot of those guys right there are on the leadership council that we talked about before, and they are continually understanding that they need to step up. They're the ones that need to communicate. They're the ones that need to basically take the bull by the horns and get guys on the right track. Coaches can't see everything. They can't know everything that's going on behind the scenes or in the locker room at all times, and so those leaders have to take a great role and responsibility to get the younger guys straightened out, get the guys that maybe are just teetering a little bit and keep them going in the right direction. And so they've been very, very good and positive for us here this fall camp.
We're going to take our next break, and when we come back, we're going to continue our conversation with Coach Richardson, so stay tuned.